Have you ever woken up in the morning, looked around your home, and realized it's completely quiet? No one asking what's for breakfast, no one rushing you, no one needing anything from you right away. Just you, your thoughts, and the gentle start of a new day. For some women, that moment feels a little lonely at first. But for many others, especially as we get into our 60s, 70s, and beyond, it becomes something entirely different. It becomes peace. It becomes freedom. It becomes a chance to finally live life on your own terms. If you're living alone right now, or thinking about it, you might have mixed feelings. Maybe part of you misses the noise, the companionship, the routines you once shared with a partner or family. And that's completely natural. But there's another side to this story that doesn't always get talked about enough, and that's what we're exploring together today. Because the truth is, living alone as an older woman isn't just something you adjust to. It can actually become one of the most empowering and fulfilling chapters of your life. In this video, we're going to gently walk through 9 beautiful benefits of living alone, things that can bring you more confidence, more clarity, and even more joy than you might expect. And I want you to listen with an open heart, because you may discover that this stage of life holds more possibilities than you ever imagined. Let's begin with something that sits at the heart of it all: independence. There's something incredibly powerful about knowing that your day belongs entirely to you. You can wake up when you want, eat when you want, wear whatever feels comfortable, and spend your time exactly how you choose. You don't have to check in with anyone. You don't have to explain your decisions. You simply live. And it's not just about doing what you want. It's also about being free from what you no longer need. Think back to earlier years. Maybe you were balancing a household, raising children, supporting a partner, or adjusting your habits around someone else's preferences. Maybe you made compromises every single day without even realizing it. That's what we do when we love people. But now, things are different. Living alone gives you the space to gently release those expectations. You're no longer responsible for managing someone else's moods, schedules, or routines. You're no longer carrying those quiet, invisible obligations that used to shape your day. And yes, sometimes that freedom comes with a little sadness, especially if you've lost a partner or gone through a big life transition. But alongside that sadness, there's also something else growing. There's a sense of self returning. A sense of, this is my life now. You get to rediscover what you enjoy. Maybe it's reading late into the night. Maybe it's having a cup of tea at 3 a.m. without anyone questioning it. Maybe it's traveling in a way that feels right to you, or simply sitting in your favorite chair with the sunlight coming through the window. That kind of independence isn't just practical, it's deeply emotional. It reminds you that you are still in control of your life, no matter your age. And as that independence settles in, something else begins to take shape in a very beautiful way: your personal space. When you live alone, your home becomes a true reflection of who you are. Not who you were expected to be, not who you had to be for others, but who you are right now. You can decorate however you like. You can fill your space with colors, textures, and memories that mean something to you. Maybe you love soft blankets, or floral patterns, or photographs from years gone by. Maybe you prefer a simple, clean space with just a few meaningful items. There's no right or wrong, because it's yours. And there's something quietly comforting about that. You begin to notice little rhythms in your home. Where you place your keys. How you arrange your kitchen. The chair you always sit in during the afternoon. These small details may seem simple, but they create a sense of belonging that runs deep. Your home becomes more than just a place you live. It becomes a place that understands you. You don't have to move things around to suit someone else. You don't have to compromise on style or function. If you want to leave a book open on the table, it stays there. If you want your favorite mug always within reach, it's exactly where you left it. And over time, that personal space starts to feel like an extension of your identity. It reflects your memories, your tastes, your journey. It tells your story without needing a single word. Now, alongside that sense of personal space comes another benefit that many women don't fully appreciate until they experience it, and that's control over your living environment. This might sound like a small thing at first, but it can make a surprisingly big difference in your daily comfort. Think about something as simple as temperature. Maybe you've lived with someone who was always too hot, while you were always a little cold. One of you opening windows, the other closing them. One reaching for a blanket, the other turning on a fan. It's a constant balancing act. But when you live alone, that balancing act disappears. You get to decide how your home feels. Warm and cozy, or cool and fresh. Bright and airy, or softly lit and calm. You choose the sounds, the lighting, even the scents that fill your space. If you want complete silence, you have it. If you want music playing in the background, you can choose exactly what you love. If you want to rearrange the furniture, or try something new, you don't need anyone's approval. And what's beautiful about this is how it affects your well-being. When your environment matches your needs, you feel more relaxed, more at ease. Your home becomes a place that supports you instead of draining you. It's not just about comfort. It's about creating a space where you can truly rest, think, and be yourself. And once you begin to experience that level of control and ease, it naturally opens the door to something even more freeing, the way you move through your day. Because when no one else is shaping your schedule, something shifts in a very gentle but powerful way. Your time becomes your own. And when your time truly becomes your own, something soft and liberating begins to unfold in your daily life. You're no longer moving through the day because you have to, you're moving through it because you choose to. That's where flexibility, quietly, becomes one of the most meaningful gifts of living alone. You might wake up one morning and feel full of energy, ready to tidy the house, take a walk, or even start a small project you've been putting off. On another day, you might wake up and simply want to stay in your pajamas a little longer, sip your coffee slowly, and watch the light change outside your window. Both of those days are perfectly valid. And the beauty is, you don't have to explain either one to anyone. There's no pressure to match someone else's pace. No need to adjust your routine to fit another person's schedule. You can eat when you're hungry, rest when you're tired, and go out when you feel like being around people. And if you don't feel like going out at all, that's okay too. This kind of flexibility becomes especially valuable as we get older, because our energy levels can shift from day to day. Some mornings feel vibrant and full of possibility, while others are slower, quieter, and more reflective. Living alone allows you to honor those rhythms instead of pushing against them. It also gives you the freedom to explore little joys that might have once felt impractical. Maybe you decide to take an afternoon nap without feeling guilty. Maybe you turn on your favorite music and dance around the living room just because it feels good. Maybe you try a new recipe at an odd hour, or you go for a walk early in the morning when the world is still quiet. These moments may seem small, but they carry a kind of gentle happiness that builds over time. They remind you that your life doesn't have to follow anyone else's script anymore. And as your days begin to flow more naturally, you may notice something else emerging alongside that flexibility, a sense of peace and quiet that feels almost sacred. Now, peace and quiet can be a complicated thing. If you've spent years in a busy household, surrounded by children, laughter, music, and constant activity, the silence can feel unfamiliar at first. You might even miss the noise sometimes. The clatter of dishes, the sound of conversations drifting through the house, the unexpected moments that filled your home with life. Those memories don't disappear. In fact, they often become even more meaningful with time. But alongside that nostalgia, there's also a new kind of calm that begins to settle in. There's a stillness in your home that allows you to hear your own thoughts more clearly. You can sit with a cup of tea and simply be present. You can read without interruption. You can enjoy a quiet evening without background noise or distractions pulling your attention in different directions. And this quiet isn't empty, it's full. It's full of space to breathe, to reflect, to rest your mind and your body. It's the kind of quiet that gently restores you after years of constant responsibility. You might find yourself appreciating simple things in a deeper way. The sound of rain against the window, the ticking of a clock, the way sunlight moves across the room during the day. These small details become more noticeable when there's space to experience them. Of course, there may still be moments when you crave connection, and that's perfectly natural. Living alone doesn't mean you have to isolate yourself. You can still visit friends, call family, or engage with your community in ways that feel right to you. The difference is, you're choosing those interactions rather than being surrounded by them all the time. And that choice makes all the difference. Because when you choose when and how you connect with others, your relationships often become more meaningful. You show up with intention, with presence, rather than out of obligation. And that leads gently into another benefit that many women notice over time. There are simply fewer conflicts in daily life. When you share a space with someone, even someone you love deeply, there are always small points of friction. Differences in habits, preferences, timing, or communication styles can create tension, even when it's unintentional. Maybe one person likes things neat, while the other is more relaxed about it. Maybe one prefers quiet evenings, while the other enjoys background noise or television. These differences are normal, but they do require constant adjustment. Living alone removes that daily negotiation. You don't have to compromise on how your home is run. You don't have to navigate disagreements about small things that can slowly build into larger frustrations. There's a calm consistency in your environment that makes life feel smoother, more predictable. And while it's true that you might occasionally find yourself talking out loud or even debating things in your own mind, we all do that sometimes. It's a very different kind of experience than navigating ongoing conflict with another person. There's a lightness that comes from not having to defend your choices or explain your preferences. You can simply live. That doesn't mean life becomes perfect or without challenges. But it does mean that one layer of stress quietly falls away. And as that stress fades, it creates space for something deeper to begin growing inside you. Because when your environment is peaceful, when your schedule is flexible, and when your mind is no longer occupied with constant negotiation, you begin to turn inward in a very natural way. You start to notice your thoughts more clearly. You begin to reflect on your experiences, your memories, the path that brought you here. And in that quiet reflection, something meaningful starts to take shape. Something meaningful starts to take shape in a way that's hard to describe until you experience it for yourself. You begin to understand yourself more deeply. Not the version of you that the world needed, or the one shaped by responsibilities and roles, but the real you, the one that has always been there underneath everything. This is where self-awareness gently unfolds. You might find yourself thinking about different chapters of your life in a new light. Moments that once felt confusing may begin to make sense. Choices you made years ago might feel clearer now, not because they were perfect, but because you can see how they helped shape the person you've become. Sometimes it happens in small, quiet ways. You're sitting in your living room, looking at a piece of furniture or a photograph, and suddenly you're transported back to a different time. A memory surfaces, not to weigh you down, but to remind you of how far you've come. And in those moments, you start to connect the dots. You see patterns. You recognize strengths you didn't fully appreciate before. You begin to let go of things that no longer serve you, old regrets, old expectations, even old versions of yourself that you've outgrown. Living alone gives you the space to do that without interruption. There's no one pulling your attention away, no distractions demanding your energy. Just you, your thoughts, and the quiet opportunity to truly listen to yourself. And what often follows that kind of awareness is something incredibly powerful: personal growth. Now, personal growth doesn't have to be dramatic or overwhelming. It doesn't mean you need to completely reinvent your life or take on something big and complicated. Sometimes, it's as simple as choosing to care for yourself in a more intentional way. Maybe you start your morning with a few moments of stillness, just breathing and being present. Maybe you try gentle stretching or a short walk, not because you have to, but because you want to feel good in your body. Maybe you begin reading books that inspire you, or exploring ideas that you didn't have time for before. There's a quiet shift that happens when your life becomes your own again. You start making choices that reflect who you are now, not who you used to be. And sometimes, that growth even expands beyond yourself. You might find yourself thinking more about the people around you, your children, your grandchildren, your friends, your community. You may feel a desire to share what you've learned, to offer support, to be a steady presence for someone else. There's something beautiful about reaching a stage in life where you're not just focused on getting through the day, but on contributing in a meaningful way. Whether it's through kind words, guidance, or simply being there, you begin to see that your life still has so much value to offer. And that realization often brings with it a deep sense of fulfillment. You start to feel proud of what you've built, of what you've endured, of who you've become. Not in a loud or boastful way, but in a quiet, steady confidence that comes from within. It's the kind of feeling that doesn't depend on anyone else's approval. It comes from knowing your own story and honoring it. And alongside that sense of growth and fulfillment, there's another important shift that happens. Your ability to make decisions becomes stronger and more natural. When you live alone, every choice is yours. What you eat, where you go, how you spend your time, what you keep in your life and what you let go of. At first, that might feel a little overwhelming. After all, many of us spent years making decisions with or for other people. But over time, something changes. You begin to trust yourself again. You realize that you are capable of guiding your own life. That your instincts matter. That your preferences are valid. You don't need constant reassurance or approval. You can listen to your own voice. And that kind of independence builds a quiet strength that carries into every part of your life. Even small decisions start to feel meaningful. Choosing how to spend your afternoon. Deciding to try something new. Saying yes to what feels right and no to what doesn't. These choices may seem simple, but together they create a life that truly belongs to you. And when you look at everything together, the independence, the personal space, the control, the flexibility, the peace, the absence of conflict, the deeper self-awareness, the personal growth, and the confidence in your own decisions, you begin to see a bigger picture forming. Living alone isn't just about being by yourself. It's about coming home to yourself. It's about creating a life that reflects who you are now, in this moment, with all the wisdom and experience you've gathered along the way. It's about finding comfort in your own company and strength in your own choices. And yes, there may still be moments of loneliness. That's part of being human. But those moments don't define your life. They're just small pieces of a much larger, richer experience. What truly defines this stage of life is the opportunity. The opportunity to slow down, to reconnect, to grow, to live with intention. So if you're living alone right now, I want you to know this: you are not just getting by. You are building something meaningful. You are creating a space where you can breathe, reflect, and truly be yourself. And if this message resonates with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts. What has living alone taught you? What have you discovered about yourself along the way? Share your experience in the comments, because your story might inspire someone else who is just beginning this journey. And if you found comfort or encouragement in this video, please take a moment to like it and subscribe to the channel, Elderly Faith Journey. It helps us reach more women just like you who are looking for support, understanding, and a reminder that this stage of life can be full of beauty and purpose. Thank you for spending this time with me. Wherever you are in your journey, I hope you feel a little more at peace, a little more confident, and a little more connected to yourself. Here's to living your life fully, gently, and on your own terms at any age.